Hey, this is Matt Urtz, the Madison County historian. We are still working to document how the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted different businesses, organizations, and people. Today we have Elizabeth Douglas, who is the executive director of Arts at the Palace. Elizabeth, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So for those that aren't familiar, can you kind of explain what Arts at the Palace is?
Sure. So, Arts at the Palace is a nonprofit 501c3 community arts organization, and we are based at the historic Palace Theater in Hamilton, New York. So we typically do a lot of performances here. We have arts education programs. We have a summer youth theater camp and community happenings. We do rent our space for different types of community um, gatherings, weddings, things like that. And then we also have a partnership with Colgate, and student groups use our space for either performances or other things, and Colgate faculty also use our space for faculty performances, recitals, and things like that.
Okay, thanks. So talk a little bit about when did COVID-19 kind of appear on your guys' radar? It's funny to ask that question. We're closing in on actually a year of
I
being in
know.
this, but talk a little bit when it appeared on your radar and kind of how you guys
Yes.
first adapted.
Well, interestingly enough, I became executive director and started at Arts at the Palace in that role the day we closed, which was April 1st. And our previous executive director has moved on and to a different job, and I had been here in a part-time role as an operations, I think my title is operations and facilities manager, and then I had actually left, and they were just going through a little bit of a transition. But anyway, I think closed, yeah, the last week of March by order of the governor. The all performance facilities were shut, and so we have been totally closed since then. We're not able to be open at all for performance or gatherings or anything. We are able to be open for office work, so that's been great. We have not been able to do any media production or anything like that.
So you guys closed. Did you switch to maybe trying to do some digital stuff or did you
Well,
try something different?
yeah, again, like I was brand new in this position, but our board immediately wanted to just go right into doing virtual programs. Um, and that turned out to be a little harder for us than we thought it would be, because there was a lot of legal things involved with broadcasting artworks. There are copyright issues, and by artworks I mean music or any sort of performance. So it took us a long time to work that out. But in the meantime, our board, who was made up of business people and arts people, community members, they really rallied, and we were able to pretty quickly. I think May 1st was our first virtual program. We had a wonderful event where we all watched together on our own um, a, a, a production that was streaming by the Public Theater in New York City of Shakespeare in the Park. And it was their 2019 Shakespeare in the Park, but they were streaming that. So we all watched that, and then we gathered online on a Zoom call. There were about 30 people to discuss the production with a Shakespeare scholar from Colgate, with a wonderful artistic director of a theater, um, who had worked with the director of this Shakespeare production, and then we were Zoom bombed by the actual director of the Shakespeare production, Kenny Leon, who's quite a famous director in New York, as well as another Colgate professor who is the chairperson of the theater department. And so we had a great, wonderful conversation, and we realized, hey, this could be something really fun. So we started this program called Arts Together Hamilton Conversations, and then monthly we did something. So that following month we read a play that was going to be produced at Syracuse Stage, and we wound up talking about the script with the the artistic director of Syracuse Stage together, and so forth. And so then we started to kind of get our sea legs, and we wound up producing. We were supposed to have a playwright here to have a residency, and we were going to have a live production of her play that was going to be developed over the summer. We wound up doing that totally virtually. We worked with this really innovative theater company in Raleigh, North Carolina, the Women's Theater Festival, and we wound up producing this play virtually. It was live. It was a live virtual production as opposed to a recorded one, which was it was extremely complicated. Thank heavens for them, because they had the technical expertise of joining all these different actors from all over to do this very high level production of, you know, it was more than just a kind of a Zoom play. I mean, it was a real production. And so we keep learning. So we just recently launched our Jazz at Noon, which is one of our big flagship programs here. It's something that happens once a month. Central New York jazz musicians come, and it's a great intimate jazz and lunch kind of a program. And so we just were able to make 3 videos. The musicians had to produce them in their own home studios, or one took place at Jazz Central, their studio, because we're still not able to produce anything here. And those were launched and just as videos. All right, we started a YouTube channel, which is something we didn't have before. We also, during the summer, did a whole series of video classes. Learn to play ukulele, learn to play guitar. We had basics of vocal training. We did street drumming. We had youth theater classes, all on video, and all were free to the public. And we were lucky enough to have some grant funds and the grant funders allowed us to kind of pivot and try to do different things. So we wound up we had as many programs in 2020 that we've ever had. They were just virtual or video.
Did you find that some of them were more successful than others?
Well, I think they were all successful because, you know, the artists who produce these works and these classes are all the same artists that we work with otherwise. And so they were, you know, really high level, wonderful programs. And
so I always talk, when I talk to restaurants, I say, did you find that people wanted a different meal? Like, one guy talked about they had to grind up steaks to make burgers, because burgers were so in demand. Did you find that people maybe went to comedies more, or they really liked something you otherwise might not have found as successful in the past?
What I was going to say is that I think that what was nice about these virtual programs is that people attended them who may not have come here in person. And we'll never know, if it was, you know, this. I mean, of course, we know a lot of the people who come here. We know our audience pretty well, but I'll never know if so-and-so would have actually come through the door who did attend the virtual program. So because we were able to offer everything for free, it did really, I mean, we said, if you have the means, please make a donation, and people really did. And we were really supported by the community with donations, which kept us going, honestly, because we didn't have ticket sales. But to answer your question, I think it was like some of the people that we know who come to our events did come to our virtual events and did enjoy them, even though they were totally, it was a different format. But I feel like we really reached a lot of new audience members, and I'm going to be really curious to see how that pans out when we're able to open the doors again. Are we going to see a lot of new faces because of that?
Okay.
I feel like we are.
You mentioned the fundraising aspect. You guys typically, I think in December, have a very big fundraising event, which I'm assuming was either postponed or canceled.
Yeah, actually, that's a great question. We have normally a huge gala, and it's very well attended, and it is one of our, well, it is not one of the largest fundraising activity that we do. It's a huge part of our budget every year, and we could not have it. So we decided instead of it's called Winter at the Palace, and it's at the first Saturday of December, and it's a wonderful gala. And this year we designed it as Winter at the Palace Gala to Go. And so we did it as a to go event where we had, instead of a performance, we had a virtual performance slash, we had a lot of different community members and people involved with our organization did testimonials, and a little bit of a slideshow. So it was kind of a multimedia performance that was a video that people could watch. And then at the same time, we had two of our wonderful restaurants in Hamilton prepared a special gala menu, and you could order the food and then actually go pick it up. So it was literally to go. And we also provided some ideas for setting a fancy table, because that's part of our gala. We always have these amazing decorations. And so we did that so that you could get some ideas online. And then we went into some local boutiques and took photos of things that were available. So it was just a lot of, it was kind of silly. People sent us kind of silly photos of themselves or serious photos of themselves dressed up, sitting in front of their screen, having their beautiful meal with their beautiful table, but it was at home. So, and then how we made, some money from this event for fundraising was the people just sent us donations, and they were extremely generous. And we had businesses as sponsors, as we always did. So it was not, of course, the same level of our fundraising sort of income, if that's the word to use, that we would have received from a live event. But it was certainly the same level of fun and connection, and so we were really pleased with it. In fact, we want to do it again, and maybe if we can be open, maybe we were thinking we could do the gala to go, but then also maybe have a live aspect of the event. We'll see. I mean, we have no idea if we're going to be able to be open by December, but it was kind of making lemonade out of lemons. We had a blast, and I didn't. It was something that it was kind of scary because we didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know if it was going to work, but it did.
Have you guys found that were you forced to cancel other events? And if so, are you going to be able to reschedule?
Well, that's a good question. We did cancel a lot. We had to cancel our youth summer theater camp just totally. We're going to hope to do that this summer somehow. Maybe it's a hybrid format. Maybe it's outside. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what Governor Cuomo allows performance facilities to do by then. But we had a really great, wonderful musician named Tommy Ho, who was going to do a series of 6 country, like classic country music performances. And everyone was really excited about that. And we kept hoping, the April one was canceled, the May one was canceled, the June one was canceled. We kept having to get, finally we said, okay, this isn't going to happen. So we would love to have him back. And, so we tried to make virtual versions of things, but I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that we had to cancel that we would reschedule. I think we were able to pretty much pull off most of what we had planned in some virtual way. But yeah, I mean, there were a lot of things canceled.
Did you guys find yourselves adapting in the moment so that maybe you tried some new things that you hadn't tried before?
Well, yeah, I mean, we'd never done any virtual anything before. So all of that was new. One thing we have not yet done, some other arts organizations have done it, is we haven't done any live stream. So everything has either been pre-recorded I mean, we did our play was live streamed last year, but we didn't at the Palace. We didn't actually produce that here because we were not able to be open to live stream. We will this year be doing the program is called From Script to Stage, and that program this year will be live streamed from the Palace. We do think that we can do that safely and within the guidelines that are in place right now. So we also really wanted to try to do something outdoors, and we had actually gotten very far with that. We were going to do a kind of a fun show at Madison Lane Apartments, which is a senior living community, and we had put it together, and then we realized we had thought by last summer that we would at least be able to do something outside, and then it didn't happen. We still were not able to do any performance, and so we had to cancel it. However, that idea of thinking of outreach, community outreach with the arts, going outside of the building, we will definitely continue to look into that. That seems like a great thing that we probably would never have thought of if it hadn't been for the pandemic. Or doing something in our parking lot. We decided we're planting a pollinator garden in our parking lot. That started last year, just looking outside the building going, what could we do? We're gonna have a mural painted on the side of our building. So those are all new things. And who knows, we have a big shed in the parking lot, and we're all thinking, can it be a puppet theater? Can it be a stage? Can it be a gallery? We'll see.
Have Governor Cuomo announced this week that certain things can open, in the idea of pop-up theaters. Are you guys looking into that at all?
Well, it's not us. That is a program that is specifically, those locations were chosen, and it's almost like, from what I understand, I'm not an expert in it, but it's there. The purpose of it is to start the arts going again, and they're going to be outdoor locations, and they're going to be seeing how it goes and using those as like sort of testing, so that he could then say, okay, now everyone can try to do some outdoor pop-up type things. I'm all about pop-up. That's what I mean. That's why we were looking at our alley, we were looking at our shed, we were looking at our, where can we pop up? So at the minute we're told that we can do any of that, we're doing it. Okay. Everybody wants to do it, and it's fun. I mean, I think that's great.
So with the building closed down, did you find other uses for it? Or other organizations able to do it, utilize it?
Well, we were able to have Colgate use the space for classrooms, and not really, I mean, because they own the building and we are a tenant here, that really wasn't us finding another space, because we really are still closed. We are not able to have people in here. So, there's definitely a lot of things we could do with this space, but just because of the New York State guidelines, we can't. But at least it was able to be worked out that Colgate, as the owner of the building, could allow it to be used for classroom space. But it's really a separate thing from Arts at the Palace.
Okay. Last question. How will this change Arts at the Palace? If the COVID pandemic ended tomorrow, how will Arts at the Palace have been changed moving forward beyond budgetary stuff? What new things will you take from this? What things do you think you can do better, and so on?
I'll tell you what, it gave a lot of time for our board and me and the other people, the staff people who work here, our technical director, our marketing director, it gave us some time to really, there were a lot of things that you don't have time to really sit down and really think through long-term projects, or, think, hey, is there a better way we can do this, that, or the other? So that extra time actually was great. And it allowed the board to, we all got on Zoom together. That had never happened before. It made it easier for our board to communicate with each other, because you didn't have to coordinate 12 schedules of everyone coming down to the palace. So just that whole meeting, now I don't think we'll ever go back to having, I'm sure we'll have in-person meetings, but the ease of meeting and communicating with each other and brainstorming, we've just done so much brainstorming. And so we'll take that away. Again, we'll take away the idea that we don't have to do everything in our building. Maybe we will do programming that is outreach, that goes to hospitals or goes to senior communities or whatever. That came away from the pandemic. And we learned we learned that it did, for us at least, it didn't seem that young people really wanted to be on Zoom, because they're on Zoom at school all day. So we've learned the importance of, we already knew it was important, but we've learned that we do have to find ways of having live or in-person something for young people. Like that, something maybe we learned that is so important. And we already wanted to focus more on education, but we will double down on that now because of the pandemic, for sure. So that kids have a way, more things for kids to connect with each other.
Okay. So if folks wanted to find a website, make a donation, look at maybe some upcoming classes you offer, how can they do that?
Yes, thank you. Our website is artsatthepalace.org. And right now there are lots of free videos that could be great for kids over the school breaks. If kids want to learn how to play guitar, we actually have at the Palace 17 guitars waiting to be borrowed. So I would love to make that known in the community, that if any adult or student would like to borrow a guitar, give me a call or send me an email. All that information is on our website. And we have that program going right now. And then you can take that guitar and you can watch this wonderful intro to guitar video series for free. The whole thing is free. And that is produced by wonderful, we call him local legend musician Ed Vollmer. And so that's on our website right now. So there's quite a bit on there that you could do already. And then there's some great programs coming up right now. We have a women writers program that's happening. We're making a local history, you'll be interested in this, a podcast series. We're working on that right now. We were lucky enough to get a Humanities New York /NEH grant to do that this year, which is super exciting. And there's a whole bunch of other things.
I think you're working with Joan on that one.
Yes, yep. It's going really well. It's really fun. Really excited about it.
Awesome. I thank you for taking the time, Elizabeth.
Thank you for having me.
Hopefully this is over soon and we don't have to have this conversation again down the road.
I know. It was nice to see you.
You as well.
I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah. Over a year.
I know it.
All right. We will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Bye now.
Bye.